sunset of the life of this world. This is the last messenger. This is one of the greatest signs of the end of this world, is the coming of the final messenger. And his life in and of itself is the biggest proof that human beings are headed for tremendous loss. So that's how they understood the word al-asr also. Then we'll look at Az-Zujaj. He says, وَرَبِّ الْعَصْرِ. That, this is actually a specific brand of Mufassirun. They did this. Whenever Allah Azza wa Jalla swears by a creation, they assume that the word Rabb is mahdhuf. It's understood before it. So he is saying, I swear by the Master, the Lord of time. So when Allah says, Wal Fajr, these scholars will interpret it as, Wa Rabbil Fajr. Right? Wal Duha, Wa Rabbil Duha. That's how they'll understand it. And they've done this consistently. A brand of scholars have done that consistently. But that's not the majority position. Nonetheless, I feel inclined to share it with you because this is within Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah and it did exist in our history. Anyhow, finally Ibn Kathir rahimahullah says, الزمان الذي يقع فيه حركات بني آدم من خير وشر. This is all time in which the activities of the human being, of the children of Adam have occurred, whether they be good activities or they be bad activities. And by saying good and bad, what he's actually telling us is that the human beings overall, what have they done more of, good or bad? They've done more bad, hence they are in khusr. Time has illustrated that they had opportunity to do both, but they ended up doing more bad than good, so human beings have ended up in loss. Now we're going to look at a linguistic analysis of the word asr itself. The word asr comes from a verb. The fi'l form is asarahu or i'tasarahu. Both are used. Ifti'al and the thulathi mujarrad is also used. Literally means he pressed it, he squeezed it, he drenched it. It's used for cloth that is drenched in water, and then you squeeze it like that and all the water comes out. That's how it's used. Also it can be used for fruits. When you squeeze a fruit and you get juice out of it, Arabic word for juice is asir. And the verbal form is i'tasarahu. Or i'tasara al-burtuqal, for examexample. I'tasara al-tuffah. In other words, he drew juice out of the apple. He drew juice out of. So to squeeze something, this is the first meaning. Asara thawba also, that he wrung water out of the garment. Then in the Quran we find وَفِيهِ يَعْصِرُونَ. This is the mudari' form that's also used in the Quran. This is the interpretation of the dream by Yusuf alayhi salam. And in it, we find وَفِيهِ يَعْصِرُونَ. And they will squeeze juice. You know how in the ancient times they used to press grapes, stomp on grapes to make wine, or olives and other things like that. That's the word being used for squishing them, to actually bring the wine out of them or the juices out of them. The poet says, لَوْ كَانَ فِي أَمْلَاكِنَا أَحَدٌ يَعْصِرُ فِينَا كَالَّذِي تَعْصِرُ. Had there only been among our leaders any one of them that spends or squeezes out from his wealth to give to us the way you give. In other words, this guy from one tribe, he goes to the leader of another tribe, and he's trying to get some money out of him, right? So, and he thinks of money as, you have so much, so what you give is just a little droplets that you squished out of there. You have the core of it. So he says, I wish we had leaders that, squished some of their wealth so we could enjoy the droplets the way you give. So he's trying to butter him up so he gives him some money, basically. That's what poetry is about. But the benefit of poetry is it gives us an insight on how the Arabs use these words. So we have a better understanding of how Allah Azza wa Jalla is communicating with those ancient Arabs. Because it's their language, that's the language they spoke. Then we find asarat. Interesting usage of verbs in the Quran, in ancient Arabic. Asarat is used for a woman who has reached the dawn of her youth. In other words, her youth is about to expire. Then they say about her asarat, the feminine form is used for her. Or if a girl reaches maturity, they also use the word asarat, that she's matured into a woman. We find a'sarat as-sahaibu. The clouds reached a point where they were to be squeezed by the winds. Literally, the image, the Arab it's very picturesque language. The clouds are imagined as like cloth that are squeezed, and then the rain comes down. This is actually the imagery captured in the word in the Quran. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ الْمُعْصِرَاتِ. Same root. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ الْمُعْصِرَاتِ مَاءً ثَجَّاجًا. Same root is used. We set down from the clouds that are squeezed, meaning winds push them against each other, and they get squeezed, and then the rain comes down. That's the imagery that's been presented in these ayat. Then the Asr is, this is something we mentioned before, but I'll tell you where it comes from now. Ash-Shihab writes this in Sharh al-Shafi. He says, Asr is a period of time during which someone passes away. And is also a period of time that in history where a nation became extinct, or a nation came to its end, which is tied to what we were saying in the beginning. A state of emergency, and also the tragedy of human history. That's the two themes that are connected in the meaning of Asr. Then finally, a couple more. مَا فَعَلْتُهُ عَصْرًا. When you say مَا فَعَلْتُهُ عَصْرًا, it means I didn't do it at the time I was supposed to do it. So asr is used as the time you are supposed to do something. By understanding that implication of asr, what we're learning in وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ is human beings are in loss, and the time to change the way they are supposed to do it is right now. This is the time to change immediately. That's one of the benefits of asr in that word. Then جَاءُوا وَلَكِنْ لَمْ يَجِئَ لِعَصْرٍ. Similar meaning. He came but not at the time he was supposed to come. Or they came but not at the time that they were supposed to come. These are the meanings of just the word asr. We are being asked to reflect on time that is dripping away from all of us. We can get lost in the technicalities and the grammatical analysis and the quotes of the mufassirun, but let's think about how this applies to us. You and I have 24 hours in a day. How many of them are gone in sleep? How many of them are gone in work? How many of them are put into efforts to build our savings, dunya savings, pay the bills, but how much of it is being prepared so we can pay our bills in the akhirah? How much of it is going so that we can actually be ready to stand before Allah Azza wa Jal for that audit? There's the audit in tax season, then there's the ultimate audit that's coming, in which we all have to stand for every single thing that we've done. If I say this all the time, one of the benefits of this surah and using the word asr, because it's part of a day, is Allah is making us imagine our entire life as though it is how many? One day. That it's one day. If you can transform how you spend one day, basically you have transformed your life. Because you know this already. Many of you work full-time or are students full-time, or you take care of the home full-time. A lot of your days are exactly the same. There's a lot of routine. It's the same exact thing over and over and over again. So if you can bring a change to one part of your day, you've actually transformed one part of your entire life. You've transformed an entire part of your life. And that the time to make that change is running out. And my personal advice to you, this is not part of tafsir, just personal advice, we make changes to ourselves in Ramadan. We make those changes. We make changes for Eid. We make changes, or break from our schedule on special occasions, at the death of a family member. We make changes on these kinds of special occasions, at the birth of a child, etc., etc. But then we go back to the routine. We go back to our old ways. Why do we go back to our old ways? Because we don't see the sense of urgency. You see, you don't say, man, I used to go to work on time at 9 o'clock, and I was doing that for a while, but then I just, got lazy, and now I go at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. You won't do that because you know you're going to get fired. There's a sense of urgency, you have to be there. And the fact that you have convinced yourself that there's an absolute sense of urgency, you have no choice but to be there on time every day, you have no choice in the matter, it automatically made your consistency easy for you. It didn't make it hard anymore. You just have to do it, you don't think twice about it. Somebody says to you, how do you do it, man? I just got to do it. I don't think about it, I just do it. That's it. Now if we really, really believed, like we believe we will lose our job when we don't show up on time, right? If we really, really believed that we are heading for loss, and there are certain behaviors that need to enter into our life, like the regularity of salah, for example, like the abandonment of vain activity, for example, if we were really convinced that not changing our behavior will lead us to loss, like the loss of a job, right? Like, nobody's going to be late for their immigration appointment. They're going to be there 2 hours early. Right? They're going to prepare the night. They have qiyam al-layl the night before, because it's at 6 a.m., so they won't go to sleep. They'll be there early, because they are convinced this has to do with, if they don't do this, they will be in loss. If we are truly convinced this will lead to loss, then changing one day, rather changing your whole life, becomes very easy. But when does it become easy? When there is belief. Which is why when Allah talked about khusr, what's the first exception He mentioned? Those who what? They believe. There's not just casually, those who believe, yeah, I'm included. No. There's not the kind of belief we're talking about here. This is real, deep conviction that what I am doing is directly connected to my success, directly connected to my failure. I better change my ways. I better get my act together. This is just in the word al-asr itself. Just in the word, how it's being squeezed and drenched away, and I don't have time. The students, those of you that are students here, you have an assignment due, and you forgot to do it. There's time running out. Right? The kind of urgency you will see in a student, the kind of urgency to study for the exam before the final, The kind of urgency you will see for an accountant in tax season. The kind of urgency you will see, for example, if you're late to work. The kind of behavior you will have at home. Things will be upside down. You better not be late. You're going to turn the whole house up. Nothing matters at that time. You won't care about breakfast or this or that or the other. You will go because there's a sense of urgency. You are convinced you will be in trouble if you don't do it. You're absolutely convinced. We have to compare that conviction to our conviction in terms of our deen. And our if your boss says to you, I swear to you, you are in trouble. If your boss says that to you, he says, I swear, he comes into the office, he doesn't point at you. He says, every single employee is in trouble. I swear. Every single one. They're gonna lose big. When he walks away, do you think any of the employees say, not me, I'm okay? Nope. He didn't specify, right? He didn't say some people are in trouble. He didn't say that guy over there is in trouble. What did he say? Every single one. You're all in trouble. And you're gonna find out pretty soon, time's running out. There's a deadline. You're going to find out very, very soon how much trouble you're really in. Now when you hear that, in dunya, there's a sense of urgency. There's, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? What does he want? Why is he angry? Is it something we're not doing? Now think about this. When you get a job, and I'm giving you these examples so we understand the rest of the surah well, inshaAllah ta'ala. This is a critical surah for the life of a Muslim. It is such a gift from Allah that He gave us 3 ayat that can change our life. You don't have to memorize Quran to change your life. Just remember Surah Al-Asr, man. SubhanAllah. How it will transform your life. How it will transform your life. Now think about this. You get a job. Your boss says to you, you got 4 tasks. Every day, you have how many? 4 tasks. Sometimes your boss gives you tasks that you're really good at. And sometimes you have tasks that you don't like doing. But because this is your job, how many tasks do you have to do? All 4. You only like 2 of them, but you still have to do 4. 2 of them you enjoy doing, 2 of them you don't enjoy doing, but you still do 4. Now if some of you decide, or I decide, I'm just going to do 2 of those. Because I'm really good at those 2. I'm not going to even touch the other 2. I'm not worried about that. He'll be okay. When he sees how impressive my first 2 are, he'll forget about the other 2. So you don't do the other 2 tasks. And the boss comes after a week, so what's the story? Where are you on the progress? I finished the first 2 100%. Oh, what about the other? Actually, I'm not going to do those. But see how good I did the first 2. What's going to happen to this person? What do you think is going to happen? He's going to keep his job? No. Even if you did not the best job, but at least you did your best for all 4. You didn't get 100%. You got a 70% for all 4. That's better than you getting 100% for one of them. You understand? So when Allah sets out 4 conditions, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, and we say, iman, yeah, we should work on our iman. Some good deeds. And you say, this other stuff, this is for speakers. This is for da'i, this is for the shaykh, this is for somebody, this is not for me. This is for somebody else. Then what are you doing? You're saying, Allah says, everyone's in trouble except people who meet 4 conditions, but you're only interested in 2, or 1, or 3, or whatever. You're picking and choosing, that is also in loss. It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. That's the attitude we have to develop in regards to this surah. I'll take 10 more minutes, inshaAllah ta'ala. We'll probably have to have a 3rd session about Surah Al-Asr, inshaAllah. That was my fear originally, was 3 sessions on Surah Al-Asr. Walillahi alhamd. Okay. Let's get to Inna al-insana lafi khusr. First of all, the word inna. Inna is used in the Arabic language, not just to mean certainly, but to talk to a group of people that are in doubt